The Honourable Chris Bishop.
I present a legislative statement on the Land Transport Revenue Amendment Bill.
That legislative statement is published under the authority of the House and can be found on the parliamentary website. The Honourable Chris Bishop.
I move that the Land Transport Revenue Amendment Bill be now read a first time. I nominate the Transport and Infrastructure Committee to consider the bill. Mr Speaker, this bill is another step in the evolution of the approach to road funding in New Zealand. Since centralising our roading system in the 1920s, the principle that all users should contribute fairly in proportion to their use of the roads has underpinned how we fund and pay for our roading system. This is not a revolutionary idea. In this House in 1933, the Right Honourable Gordon Coates remarked, "We should have all motor vehicles contributing more or less on the same basis." The principle that Prime Minister Coates, as he then was, talked about is fundamentally about fairness, directly links what you pay with what you use and the benefits you received. Since then, we've continued on a pathway towards better transport pricing. In 1977, New Zealand introduced the road user charges system, moving diesel and heavy vehicles to distance-based charging. That system was and still is world-leading. Today, other countries are looking at the model we adopted back then as something they could adopt today. In 2008, we moved to a hypothecated transport funding system, ensuring that revenue collected from road users is invested into maintaining and improving the transport system. As we continue on this pathway, we need to ensure that our revenue tools are sustainable, fair and fit for purpose. This bill focuses on two ways road users contribute to the benefits they receive and the costs they impose: tolling and road user charges. The bill makes amendments to improve the current tolling framework. Tolling allows us to bring forward investment and build the roads New Zealand needs sooner. It means users who benefit from a new road can contribute directly to its cost. There are 3 toll roads in New Zealand. In Auckland we have the Northern Gateway, Tauranga, there's the Tauranga Eastern Link and Takatumu Drive. 3 more toll roads have been approved by Cabinet and are under construction. Mr Speaker, the model works. But as we progress the new roads of national significance, the Government wants to improve this tolling framework. The Land Transport Management Act sets the high-level requirements for establishing a new toll road. Before a toll can be put in place, the Minister must be satisfied that the road is new, there has been adequate consultation with the level of community support, that a feasible untolled alternative route is available for road users and that the tolling scheme is efficient and effective. Within this overarching framework, which stays, the bill makes several changes. First, the bill allows tolling to be applied more flexibly to include parts of an existing road where users of that road receive benefit from the new investment. Second, the bill allows toll revenue to be used across the entire tolling scheme, not just the new sections of the road. Third, the bill strengthens the fairness principle that underpins the system. We are maintaining the core requirement for a feasible untolled alternative route. However, the bill will also allow toll revenue to be used to help maintain that alternative route if the relevant council can't fund that maintenance itself. The bill will also allow restrictions to be placed on heavy vehicles using unsuitable alternative routes, protecting those local roads and communities. Fourth, the bill makes the common sense move to require annual inflation adjustments so the value of tolls is not eroded over time. It also introduces clear principles for setting toll rates, focusing on benefits to users. Finally, the bill updates the rules for toll concessions to make it easier to partner with the private sector to deliver the infrastructure we need. Taken together, these changes ensure tolling remains an effective tool to help fund our roads, including the new roads of national significance. There are also changes, Mr Speaker, around road user charges. To keep the funding system fair and ensure all users contribute based on their actual use of the roads, it is a reality that we need to transition 3.5 million petrol vehicles to road user charges. The RUC system was designed in the 70s. It charges vehicles based on their weight and travel distance, which is a fair way to charge for road use. But the manual payment processes, sir, reflect the world 50 years ago, and they need to be updated. The current system is clunky, it's paper-based. It relies on road users monitoring their odometers, pre-purchasing the paper licences and displaying them on their windscreens. This is a 1970s solution in a modern world. Forcing millions of Kiwis to swap the simplicity of paying at the pump for that kind of bureaucracy would be a step backwards. Paying bills and taxes is unfortunately a part of life, but it should not consume life itself. The bill removes the requirement to display, carry or produce a RUC licence. In an electronic age, a paper licence should not be a strict requirement. The bill also updates the definition of electronic distance recorder. Current rules are restrictive, hindering the use of technology already installed by manufacturers in many cars. The change will allow more flexible approaches to recording distance. It will save costs by giving drivers the option to use inbuilt vehicle technology. The bill takes the first step in enabling new convenient payment options. Users will be able to choose their preferred method. This could include set and forget post-payment systems, similar to paying for electricity or a streaming service. The current Act provides for alternative RUC payment methods beyond the default prepay model. None have been created because they have been restricted to vehicles with electronic distance recorders. The bill removes that requirement for alternative payment schemes. We also aim to change the RUC retail landscape. NZTA is currently both the main RUC seller and the regulator. Responses to a Ministry of Transport request for information confirm there is market interest, sir, in providing RUC services for the light vehicle fleet. but potential RUC providers see NZTA's dual role as a barrier to offering services to road users. So the bill enables the separation of NZTA's RUC retail role from its regulatory role, giving the market certainty they're entering a level playing field. There will be the opportunity for providers to innovate and invest in New Zealand. We have one of the world's largest and most established RUC systems. A more attractive environment for private sector participation may position our system as an example for other countries. These changes are the first step in transitioning petrol vehicles to RUC. As some people will note, the bill deliberately omits a date for transitioning the light petrol fleet from fuel excise to RUC. That date has not been set by the government. There is much work to do before we do that. It will be a ginormous or large transition as we do that. Rather, this puts in place a legislative framework on improving the RUC system for light vehicles, enabling a competitive retail market and improving user experience before that transition occurs. Mr Speaker, it is really important we get this legislation right. The government welcomes the input and scrutiny that the Select Committee will provide. Transport and Infrastructure Select Committee, in my experience, Sir, has done a very good job, and I acknowledge the Chair in the House today, Mr Foster, who I'm sure will run a robust process. And my experience so far is that committee has operated in a relatively bipartisan and collegial fashion, and I'm sure that will continue. This is a really important bill, Mr Speaker. It's not a long bill, but it is an important bill in the evolution of our land transport funding system. It continues our long history in evolving our system to meet changing circumstances and upholding the principle of fairness. And it makes improvements to tolling and paves the way for a modern RUC system, cuts red tape and enables new payment options. It is, as I say, the next step in our evolution, and I commend it to the House.
So far, how do you feel about having to pay road users while buying petrol?
How do I feel about paying petrol for in road user charges?
Yeah, because that's going to be a big wake-up call. Because there are people like myself who have specifically went for petrol cars because you pay the road tax as you use it.
It's going to suck.
Yeah.
I have a lot that I'm going to say on that I can say on that speech, but I'm going to let you go first.
Okay, so I don't think 2027, which is stuff that's been coming out of the media, is probably the right period, considering 350 million vehicles would have to be transitioned over. The other question has to come out is whether trailers will be transitioned over, because currently trailers are exempt from road users if they're below 3.5 tonne. And the problem is if they do get road users, they're going to have hub meters put in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, here's something worth looking at is the road user schedule. That is for vehicles based on the Waka Kotahi's website. I'll boost that up a bit.
Yep.
But effectively, so there's not much really explaining how road users work in New Zealand for the breakdowns of vehicles and that. So I got hold of my friend Joanne, who used to work for NZ Bus, and do this. Now, just to put it out there, under the current system, so wherever you are a 1.5 tonne Nissan Leaf or a 3.5 tonne Toyota Hilux, your weight charge for road users for being a diesel or being an EV is $76 for a block of 1,000 Ks.
Okay.
Which to me is probably not right, considering if you drive a Suzuki Alto as a petrol car or a petrol Toyota Corolla, you're probably not going to be paying the equivalent of 7.5 cents per kilometre. Now, the other one is, this is what my dad's truck is, because it's 5.2 GVM. And obviously that breaks down of what RUCs go up to as you go up through the scale. Now, if anyone remembers the plug-in hybrid, hybrids, which are dual petrol and that, which have a lower RUC rate.
Yep.
Because if you're driving on petrol, you'll be paying into it. Maintenance-wise, a plug-in hybrid is actually not necessarily the best thing to have when faults go wrong. It's been rated as it's not the best of both worlds option when it comes to electric technology. It's either go fully hybrid or fully electric. But it's from a mechanic's perspective, that is not.
Yeah. So I don't have a plug-in petrol hybrid. I do have a petrol hybrid, but it's not plug-in.
Plug-in, yeah. So which means it relies on the petrol inverter, which is and that has its plus sides. Like when you go down the Remitakas, you'll be
awesome.
you got regenerative braking, for example. Actually, try it on the Manawatu Taurua Highway.
Oh yeah.
that will be the best, because those gradients are way steeper, because like one side's 8, the other side's 10%.
Yep.
Yeah. Now the interesting other part is come in with trucks. So this is the configuration for a what would be a class 2 driver's license truck with 2 axles. So that would be sort of things there, and that's actually, for me, that's my heavy driving experience. I've only driven vehicles that are 2 axles. I've not driven actually a 3 axle vehicle. Now here's the one that really rubs my back up the wrong way, and that is about the passenger service vehicles that are 3 axles. So they'll be typically in Wellington City, probably at your high frequency bus routes in the Hut, would typically run 3 axle buses.
This is what I don't get it either. Like, why are public transport vehicles paying the most?
It will be up to weight. Now, this is something where I don't actually agree with here, is the weight, is the fact that buses are put in 2 categories, above or below 18 tonne. Now, I did check with Joanne. She says there used to be about 3 categories she remembers, which was up to 7 tonne, 7 to 18 tonne, and then above 18 tonne, which, and she's discussed bus sizes with me. They mean something to me, but if I mention an 1100 to you, that means nothing to most people watching the show. That's just that was the size buses that they run, which was 1100, 1200s, and they had different things which were based on certain capacities, and those numbers mean nothing to the audience here. But effectively, like 7 tonne, which is basically was nicknamed your puddle jumpers. But basically, your normal size buses, like you hear this argument a lot where it's like, well, why don't you run smaller buses that could save money on diesel, even though it's like duplication of things? Well, the road user charges don't do it. And the above 18 tonnes would be your EV single-decker buses that run on the number 2 in Wellington, and also your double-decker buses would hit that category. And this is also ones where, so the number 6 is probably more your class 4 configuration. So that would be a tractor unit to a B train, and that would be a rigid.
Right, so these are your trucks that, having worked in forestry, these would be the trucks that take your diggers.
Yeah. Oh, well, actually, you'll see those combinations further down the list. But basically, like that style truck there that I've got my mouse over is what Musham's father's Scania is to Auckland. Yep. So if you consider and go for that, like a trip to Auckland and back, you're probably looking at about $600, $700 in road users. Yep. And on diesel, you're looking at about the same in diesel as well. But that truck goes up to 24 tonne. Mm-hmm. That's your Arctic tractor unit, which also has 4 wheels. One thing to notice in New Zealand is the more wheels you have, the lower cost of your road users are, because the weight is distributed across more wheels.
Now that is really interesting. Yes.
So that Steve will be the one who'll point that out. Also, the other one is the towing combination. So this is this would be a towing combination, which that one shows there. So you have to have class 5 driver's license, that one. But the top one on there is a B train truck. The bottom one is a rigid truck unit with a trailer on the back, and that's just showing the different wheel combinations and obviously what the axle weights are and that sort of thing. But these are basically how they work out the weights for paying road users. And it's often why you see a lot of logging trucks where they have their trailers loaded onto the back of the truck when they're running empty, so that the trailer doesn't tick over road users while it's empty. And actually it's safer as well, because you're only half the length. Now these are other things that go into different bands with trailers, but it's quite for the average Joe blog, it is a minefield. It's a minefield for me. And like, I understand the top section because I've dealt with vehicles in that boat, but not every person's in it. But these are the different current rates of regulations that go through for road users.
Yeah, I mean, the average Joe is not driving a big truck.
No, the average Joe would be driving a vehicle that's under 3.5 tonne. Yep, that's what the average Joe would be driving. And the thing is, is it time to have more weight bands below 3.5 tonne?
Well, I think the moral of the story here is trains, because they don't pay ruck. Trains and boats. Let's go. Okay, so let's go over the bill. Okay, so basically this is an amendment bill, so that means there was an original bill. So in the original bill, or this is an omnibus bill, it basically means it's a bunch of amendments to different stuff. But the key thing that most people are going to be interested in is the changes to the Land Transport Management Act 2003. So in the original bill, tolls could primarily only be applied to new roads to fund their construction and operation. An existing road could only be tolled if it was near and physically or operationally integral to a new toll road. Toll roads were also required to have feasible toll-free alternative routes. I like that. That's very cool.
That's been pretty standard. And like the great saying of that is Old State Highway 2 through Te Puke is the feasible toll-free alternative to the Papamoa motorway.
Yep. And then there's a couple of other things too. The driver of the vehicle was initially liable for paying the toll, and if they did not pay, the registered owner would become liable. So basically, if you're like a mum and you've got a kid that loves driving your car and they act like a hoon on the road,
well, they go on the Papamoa motorway because it's got a 110k speed limit, not 100.
Yeah, well, let's go extra hoony. So 120k, right? So the driver of the vehicle, this is under the current stuff, right? They would be liable for paying the toll. And if they didn't pay, mum would have to pay the toll, right?
Yeah. Yes.
That's changed. So, and then lastly, the rules of the private sector involvement in building and operating toll roads were more restrictive. So that's currently in place. This means that a private company could not be brought in to take over, finance, or significantly upgrade an existing road under a tolling concession. Now, here's what the changes are being proposed. Here's what's going to happen. So existing roads can be tolled if users of that road experience benefits from the construction of a new road in the same corridor. What the hell?
Second Mount Vic Tunnel is screaming over that, and Second Terrace Tunnel.
Yeah. And then you've got...
And it's actually been speculated that it's they're going to be tolling those roads. Like Julian said that last Monday.
Yes. And that takes me on to my second point. Toll revenue can be used to maintain and operate toll-free alternative routes, but only if the local council is unable to fund it themselves. So that's cool. You know, the rates...
Track, Saddle Road.
Yep. That's awesome. The minister, which is Chris Bish, will be able to ban certain heavy vehicles from using toll-free alternative routes, forcing them to use toll roads with exceptions for local deliveries. That could be really fun for the forestry sector. I can tell you that much.
Especially considering some of the routes.
Yeah.
The toll-free route might actually be quicker. Now, there is a local heavy vehicle road band in Whakatane District Council area for the Ohope Road. So if you are a heavy vehicle, you are legally required to use State Highway 2 unless you get a permit from the council to go to the forestry site on the road. So if you're over, I can't remember what the weight is, because 12-ton trucks are allowed out there, but not 44-ton trucks.
Yeah.
And because 12-ton trucks are typically used for deliveries, whereas 44-ton trucks are usually you're looking at long-distance haulage.
Yeah. And now here's the point that I'm really concerned about, this change that's going to occur. It will make it easier for the government to partner with private companies to finance, build, and operate toll roads. So it clarifies that private partners can earn a commercial return on investment. Now, what's that going to do with the price of toll roads? One can only imagine.
Will the toll road be regulated? Like currently in New Zealand, our toll amounts are regulated.
Yeah, so
and they have to actually go through. They have to go through Parliament. It's not something that they can. The toll itself, it can only be adjusted by CPI. It's not like suddenly you can have you can't have yo-yoing tolling.
Yeah. So that's what I was about to explain. So toll rates are going to be required to be adjusted annually in line with the consumer price index. So this ensures that toll revenue keeps in pace with inflation. Now, I would prefer to have that significantly up under the CPI, because these amendments are going to predominantly disproportionately impact working class folks. And I that's why I don't like the term that, even though Chris Bishop gave a good argument in favour of his bill, he probably gave the best out of everyone that I watched on that bill. But the problem is that when he uses the word fairness, he's referring effectively to a flat tax. And a flat tax is not really that fair when you've got working class folks who get very little support from the government, just scraping by, having to pay an extra cost just to go to work and get back home.
Yeah.
That is not fair. That is not an equitable outcome.
Yeah. And I'm someone who's like, I've paid to use toll roads in New Zealand, but I've learnt one thing: don't prepay your tolls. Because I went to do that one time, and this was actually on It's in the Ballot coming back from Katikati, and the toll road was closed, and I had to go through the Te Puke alternative.
Yep.
And I prepaid my toll. I did manage to use the toll on the way to Hamilton because Marina just said, she said, don't bother going through Rotorua and over the Mamacoos. It's actually flattered to go through State Highway 29, so that's what I did, which was quite a weird experience because my experience with the Kaimais as a kid was like, I don't like this road, and it actually is not a bad road, but the Mamacoos are actually quite a good road, but State Highway 33 Whakatane and Rotorua is a bit, it's slow. Yeah.
So that's pretty much all I've got to comment on when it comes to Bish.
Okay, so let's get on to the Tangi Yuta Kia.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, News Guide, the Order Paper Podcast. YouTube, Twitch, Instagram.